Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Imagine being so arrogant about your lounge access that you mock others as peasants in the airport. Well, Karma had a field day with one such individual, bragging about his privileges, missed his flight because he trusted the wrong information from a colleague. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. Coworker gloated about having access to the airport lounge when we didn't. We work for a national agricultural supply company, but I'm in a central role while he flies frequently and therefore has lounge access with the airline. We were flying from one city back to our own. He was bragging about it the whole day, and when we got to the airport, he wished us peasants a nice time in the airport food court, slumming it up with the mouth breathers and so on. He'd bruise his own tonsils if he could. That kind of bloke. Anyway, our flight nears and he texts through asking what the gate is. The rest of us are walking down the sky bridge onto the plane at this point. Now, the airport isn't exactly small. It's actually massive. We were getting on at gate 4. I told him we were at gate 44. We're laughing on the plane, imagining this bloke having to run through the terminal to catch it. Next minute, the effing doors on the plane lock and we're getting pushed back. That's when I thought I was effed. He'd complain and the boss would throw the book at me. He texts, "Hey, where are you guys?" And I told him we're taxiing down the runway and that we tried holding the plane for him and the bloke just effing explodes. I put my phone on airplane mode and breathe out. When we land, he's blown up my phone and I've got a missed call from my boss. I call my boss and say I accidentally pushed 4 twice, and he just laughed and reckons he would have paid big money to see old mate's meltdown. Anyway, it ruined his day. He had to pay for his own ticket home, and now I think my life is in danger. LOL. Edit. I don't know why he didn't look at the board or his ticket. I don't know why he just asked me what gate. He asked, and I told him a lie because he's a boorish jerk. Too lazy to look up at one of the screens all over the airport to find the gate number? He can't blame anyone but himself. And our second story. Crazy neighbor vandalized my car. This all started almost a year ago, shortly after this angry middle-aged woman moved in next door. For the sake of the story, and because she's never given me her actual name, I'll just call her Karen. If the shoe, or in this case, name, fits. Anyway, on a trash collection day shortly after Karen moved in, I came home from work and noticed that her garbage bin was still out on the curb. Being the sort of guy who goes out of his way to be polite to people, I did what I thought was the neighborly thing and brought her can up to her side gate where she stores it. I would have put it all the way into the yard, but that seemed a little invasive, so I stopped just short. In any event, I was feeling pretty good about my taking it upon myself to help the single older woman next door. Later that evening, I was heading out to check the mail and found a nasty note taped to my front door saying, "Stop moving my trash bin." After that delightful little thank you, I vowed that even if I came home to a blazing 4-alarm fire where her trash bin should have been, I wouldn't lift a finger to stop them from setting her entire house on fire. Cut to 2 Sundays ago when my wife, 2 daughters, and I are chilling in our garage with the door open and the kids ride their scooters in the driveway and up and down the sidewalk. We're having a wonderful time. I should mention that I'd recently, as in within the previous 10 minutes or so, put our trash cans out on the curb for pickup on Monday morning. Now, we only have room for 1 car in our driveway and 2 cars, so my wife parks in the driveway and I park my car on the street. I'm happy to do it. We have good comprehensive insurance with a low deductible, and my wife does more kid toting, so it makes sense for her to get the driveway. The point is, a bit of the curb space directly in front of our house is taken up by my little Prius C, so I put our bins near my back bumper closer to Karen's house, but still probably 25 feet or more from the edge of her driveway. Evidently, this is the straw that broke the angry, passive-aggressive, put-upon-lesbian's back, because Karen marched right over to our open garage door to let us, children and all, know that she's getting pretty sick of the garbage can crap. At this point, my wife snapped into rational mode and attempted to have a discussion with Crazy Pants Karen about her grievances. For my part, I just flippantly told her to F off. What can I say? The initial note on my front door told me everything I need to know about who this woman is. She's Karen, whether that's on her birth certificate or not. And I, frankly, don't give a damn if a-holes think I'm one of them. In fact, I prefer it that way. In any case, the rational discussion that my wife was attempting to have didn't go well, ending with me telling Karen once again to go F herself as she was storming away after setting our hash, if only in her own mind, We decided to initiate a no-contact policy with Karen from that point on. Turns out that decision isn't really up to us. Cut to yesterday, Easter, coincidentally, evening. My family had just come home from my mom's house where Easter fun had been had and dinner enjoyed by all. As we pulled up to the house in my car, I made what I thought was the responsible decision to park my car further back than I usually do in order to leave room for my trash bins to be in front of our house so as to not further anger Karen. We get the kids unpacked and I head out to take the trash to the curb as I do every Sunday evening. I step out the front door and run smack into, you guessed it, Karen. At this point, Karen has the look of a person who just walked into her house to find a junkie has broken in and violently raped her favorite pair of slippers. In other, less bizarre words, she's pissed and disgusted. The conversation went something like this. Karen, passive-aggressively, "Are you really going to park in front of my house like that?" Me, smiling, "Looks like it." Karen, even more passive-aggressively, "Seriously?" Me, still in a friendly tone, "Get effed." At this point, my wife exits our house, having heard the commotion out front, and pushes me back into the house so she can attempt to de-escalate the situation. I happily stay inside until the confrontation is over. My wife comes back in the house, walks straight to the bathroom, and sits in the closed toilet, dazed. She looks like she's just come back from a combat mission in Fallujah and has more than a touch of PTSD. My heart goes out to her, not to mention the tears standing in her eyes, and I ask her how it went. Long story short, not well. My wife has discovered the hard way what I've known all along. This woman isn't ever going to be happy no matter what we do. She's just looking to exert some sort of bullcrap, impotent power over us by always having a problem. My wife's a far better person than me and actually has faith in people. She believes that everyone has the same capability she does to recognize their faults and work on fixing them. It's one of the reasons I love her. I'm a few years older than her, though, and far more pragmatic. I don't want to burn calories trying to reason a-holes out of being a-holes. I think some people just need to be told to F off, or, in extreme cases, punched in the mouth. Karen's in at least her 50s. She's made it this far being this way. Odds are she's taken it to the grave. So it goes. This afternoon, we decided to take the girls to the park for a while, just to get them out of the house. As we're about to pull away from the curb in my car, I notice that my driver's side mirror is bent all the way out. I roll down my window to pull it back in and feel that it's not only bent toward the front of the car, the whole housing is cracked, as in the turn indicator light on the mirror. There's no debris in the street either from the busted plastic. So one of two things happened last night. Either a driver clipped my mirror, then circled back to clean up the scene of the hit and run, or far more likely, in my opinion, Karen attempted to settle the score in the most cowardly, passive-aggressive way possible, as any good Karen would do. My wife's planning on filing a police report tonight, as well as a complaint with the management company who rents the houses on this street. I started to file a claim with our insurance company, but decided it's probably not worth the hassle or the deductible for this minor amount of damage. Still, the idea that my angry butt neighbor's unstable enough to vandalize our crap while we're sleeping is pretty unsettling. I did make sure to park in the same spot on the curb again today, just to send the message that she can't win using these types of childish tactics, if in fact she did vandalize my side mirror. Also, for the record, I'm not generally considered an a-hole. In fact, most people seem to quite like me and find me charming. My guiding principle is to be as decent a person as I'm reasonably able. My wife and I have only two standing rules in our household for our girls: listen and be nice. That's it. Kindness is a way of life for us, so this kind of thing is almost completely foreign to me. I don't have a lot of experience dealing with people who just seem to have something against me for no good reason. And our last story. Say goodbye to your business. This is a story I heard from a friend of mine. It's about an old man who appreciated the quiet in his cabin on the edge of the forest. So an old man named Chad lived in a little house on the edge of the woods in a small town along the highway to the big city. It could have been called a suburb of the big city if it didn't have its own mayor. So historically, we have a very well-developed corruption of the powerful in this country, and this will affect the continuation of history. The old man had been in the military all his life and preferred to spend his retirement at his home by the woods, going fishing, hunting, or just relaxing by the forest while tending his territory. This went on for quite some time until Mr. Patrick bought a piece of land nearby. He wanted to build a cafe with a huge summer terrace overlooking the forest. And in principle, there wouldn't have been any problem if the area wasn't considered farmland and no commercial buildings could ever be built there. But Patrick didn't care. Chad tried several times to file a complaint, but there was no result. Suddenly, it turned out that Patrick didn't care about the law because he was related to the mayor. In the meantime, a cafe was built and began to fill up with people coming from the big city and from the local town to relax near the forest. Since Chad had no relatives at City Hall, he decided to act within the law. He also began the building process. He built a huge paddock adjacent to the fence of Patrick's cafe. Then, one fine summer day, when the cafe was in full swing and the summer terrace by the forest was almost fully occupied, trucks full of Chad's secret weapon began pulling up to Chad's house. Old Chad had been thrifty enough all his life and had amassed enough money during his service to pass it on to his children. But he certainly didn't feel sorry for the money to protect his private property and his peace of mind. So he decided to spend some money on a little military trickery. Chad bought 32 pigs and launched them into a pen next to Patrick's cafe. The smell of pigs over the couple of days they were in the pen created an incomparable aroma on Patrick's terrace, which in turn somehow had a great effect on the clientele. Every day there were fewer and fewer customers. Patrick tried to offer the old man money, but if you've ever interacted with old military men, you probably know what the response was. The cafe suddenly became, to put it mildly, not exactly profitable. And after a few months, Patrick had to close. And Chad gradually sold all the pigs and went back to his old life. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.